Assalamu alaikum all. Today I'm going to talk about, is compounding investments halal? Now, investment is one of the most important ways to grow wealth, one of the best ways to do that. And the main reason of that is compounding. So Warren Buffett, who's probably one of the best investors ever, said, one of the most powerful forces is compounding. And I'm going to explain what compounding is and how we can use that as Muslims. Now, just want to say welcome to Simple Muslim Money, which is all about simple halal investing and personal finance for Muslims. Now, what is compounding? So basically, when you invest your money, so I'll use the stock market as an example. So you invest your money into a stock market, your stocks will grow, but also these stocks could pay you dividends as well, which is a share of the profits that they make. So for example, I don't know, some big company, Google, Amazon, or whoever it is, they're doing really well, they're making some profits, they will share some of that profits with you as an investor. Now, rather than taking that profit and putting it into your pocket and going to a restaurant or something like that, you put it back in and buy some more stocks. And then you end up getting more dividends as well, yearly or whenever the dividends are paid. And then you just keep putting those dividends back in. So you have this like whole kind of flywheel, this whole thing just kind of feeding each other, and then that can build massively, and this just keeps going on and on and on, and it's a great way to kind of build your wealth. Now, the best way to explain this is if we go through an example. So imagine if you invest in an index fund that gives you a return of 7% on average, which is quite a conservative sort of figure. So this is over the course of the long term. So there might be years where it might go down 10%, but then the following year might go up by 22%. So yeah, just want to kind of explain that to you. And imagine if you put £5,000 into it and just leave it for 30 years. That's it. Really simple example, nothing else. By the end of the 30 years, if you had this average 7% return, you would end up with £40,000. And that's a 700% increase. So it just kind of shows you the effect of compounding. And it's a bit like a snowball as well. So once it gets going, it takes a bit of time, but then eventually it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's that initial bit slow, but then it kind of just shoots up. Now, the earlier you start, the better, and I'm going to explain this through an example that I got from Dave Ramsey that I've kind of adapted for a kind of more Muslim kind of perspective, but I do have a link to the original one in the description. So yeah, feel free to check that out. But imagine we have Ayesha, who starts investing at 21. She invests £2,400 per year, which is about £200 a month. And she's starting off quite young, but she only invests until she's 30. She stops after 9 years. She does not invest anymore after that. However, Zayd starts investing at 30. So he's starting to invest 10 years later. He invests £2,400 per year, £200 per month, exactly the same as Ayesha. However, he invests until he's 67. So this is 37 years. So Ayesha invested for 9 years in total, whereas Zayd has invested for 37 years. Now, just to make the calculations easier, imagine you get 10% return each year. What you find is, and this blew my mind, is that Ayesha ends up with £2.1 million approximately versus Zayd, who has £1.2 million. Even though he invested for 37 years and Ayesha only invested for 9 years, that's a £1 million difference. And people just don't know this. This isn't kind of shared or taught to people. And it does not seem intuitive, but it is. If there's one thing you get out of this video, is this: like, compounding makes a massive difference. And I've got this example of this chart on the side here, and it kind of just shows you and visualizes everything for you nicely. As you can see, Ayesha started like investing earlier, and then she stopped, and her chart just shot up. Whereas Zayd started much later, his chart shot up as well, but not as much as Ayesha. So I hope this chart kind of really explains how it kind of works. But then some people might think, am I too old to invest? I'm 40, I'm 50, or whatever your age might be. But no, not at all. The sooner you can invest, the better. I mean, the best time to plant a tree was probably 20 years ago, but now the best time is right now. And most people don't actually invest when they're young. So I think sometimes you look at these things and you get disheartened. Just start investing now. Start investing today. Build it, and you can still build massively as well. And these examples that I just shown you, this is like the optimum kind of example, and most people don't do that. So don't let that put you off. And I guess the next, probably most important thing that people might be thinking is this halal? Now, when you compound anything that's halal, it is halal. So like in this case, we've been talking about like stocks, but also, you could compound other things. And a really good way to explain it is via a business. So yeah, one of my favorite restaurants around here is called Naan Stop. It's really cheap, really nice. They do great carrot chai. They do good naans as well. They do like a meal deal for like £7.50. And imagine they just had one restaurant originally. So like they got a restaurant in Gansil, and you know they just started off with that, and that gave them like £5,000 profit every month. Now instead of pocketing that £5,000, they just kind of saved it up and then opened up another restaurant. So they've got another one in Ilford Lane. So now they've got two. And then eventually they both start doing really well, and they start getting £10,000 a month, and they keep investing it and keep doing that same system again, and just keep making more and more restaurants. As you can see, the business is just getting bigger. It's making more money. And then once they have more money, they can open up more restaurants even quicker. So that really explains the compounding effect. And that's halal. So it's all about what are you compounding. If you're compounding something that's halal, then that's great. But if it's something that's not halal, then yeah, that is going to be questionable and, you know, probably not going to be permissible. And what people ask is this similar to riba or interest? So interest is something we get from bank accounts and things like that. And it does work in the same way. You know, it compounds, you get a certain percentage every year, but we don't, you know, want to have interest on our bank accounts. You know, something we want to avoid as Muslims. So the same principle applies, but, you know, that is not permissible because it is like interest on the bank accounts. Whereas like if we do compound something that's halal, then yeah, then it is fantastic. I mean, something we should use to our advantage. And one thing I really urge is like people to teach this to your kids as well. Just kind of explain to them, you know, the amazing nature of like kind of investing. And it's something I'm trying to explain to my son as well, although he doesn't always like probably get it, I think, just yet, but I'm just going to keep doing it, keep trying to explain to him and showing him diagrams and things like that. And I am investing on his behalf, like, you know, from a young age. He's been investing for like years now. He's like 12 years old. My other son, who's 5, he's been investing for years, like 2-3 years. I'll just put regular amount of money in. Doesn't have to be much, just a little bit of money. And, you know, it can make a massive difference. So yeah, just want to say, if you enjoyed this video, please check out my other video where I talk about what to do when you get paid every month with your paycheck and how to automatically invest and save portions of your paycheck. Okay, take care. Assalamu alaikum.